Hello guys, so welcome to my YouTube channel. The name is The Counter Press. So my name is Fiifi-Manfred, and I will try to give you a lot of explain on a lot of the things that are happening in the world of football. From locally here in Ghana and of course abroad. So the name of the channel is The Counter Press. Kindly do subscribe, like, and then do turn on the notification bell so that anytime there's a new video you can get it. And I promise to give you the best of takes of football here. So first of all, quick one. The man Graham Potter has finally been sacked, to the relief of almost every Chelsea fan across the world. And I thought it as much as to use it as my first official video, proper video for my home. And then I want to walk you straight into it. So first of all, I think that Chelsea has gone through a lot in the last couple of months. From the check, from the sanction on Roman Abramovich, the sack, technically of Roman Abramovich from England. That happened a long time ago. And then at some point in time, when the Russia-Ukraine war, which was just a little over a year ago, in a few months, just about a month ago, came up, he was subject because he was a Russian oligarch. He was identified as a Russian oligarch, and then himself and other Russian oligarchs were sanctioned by European Union, and by the extension of that, the English government also did sanction them. And of course, he was forced to sell Chelsea Football Club. Then fast forward, Todd Boehly, Baghdad Eghbali, and the Todd Boehly consortium do come to own the club, sort of, and then all of a sudden, there were reasons why Thomas Tuchel was sacked. If you remember, at the dying part of Thomas Tuchel's helm as Chelsea manager, he did lose a couple of games, and then key amongst them was that away loss in the Champions League against Dynamo Zagreb, and the next morning he was sacked. It was surprising. It was a huge one for every Chelsea fan. I remember at the time I had just gone to work and I was preparing for production, and I had heard the news. It was a big one for me, and I was taken aback as a Chelsea fan myself. So the question is, was Thomas Tuchel's sack the right thing to do, or it was his decision, it was a wrong one to do? I think that at the time when Todd Boehly and Baghdad Eghbali had taken over the club, they were looking at somebody that could buy into their philosophy. A long-term project. For all that we know from Thomas Tuchel's trajectory as a manager, he hasn't really been the one to play into projects. He hasn't really been the one who wants to take his time and then win with time. He has always been the one that wants to win. He's a serial winner. He wants to win regardless of how not so good his materials are at his disposal. He did same at Mainz. He did at Dortmund. You remember the clear example of when Dortmund's bus was attacked in the Champions League game, and then he chastised his players for not being men enough. Thomas Tuchel just wants to win. For any cost. For me, there were a lot of speculations, and I think these are some of the reasons why they felt that at the time Thomas Tuchel should have left the club. On footballing reasons, that was completely wrong. There's no way you let go of a proper, proven manager in Thomas Tuchel. The only one that, for me, since the days of Klopp, has really given Pep Guardiola a lot of things to think about anytime he was going to come into playing him. So really, Thomas Tuchel was the man on the pitch. But maybe off the pitch, Thomas Tuchel has already had issues at Dortmund with sporting directors, at Mainz with sporting directors, at Paris Saint-Germain recently he was with Leonardo, and then at Chelsea, really, when he came, there wasn't necessarily a sporting director. It was Marina Granovskaya and then Peter Cech, who really did help him get the job done. At the time, there were no reported issues with them. But then once the new management did come through, there were cracks in it, and then he was asked to go. Now, Thomas Tuchel, fast forward, is a coach of Bayern Munich, and in that press conference, you can clearly tell that he has a lot of love for Chelsea Football Club, and he really did not see himself leaving. And then, of course, while he was at Chelsea, he said that was the best club and the best place he has been in his managerial career. So you could tell, and you can understand when he oozes a lot of emotions when he talks about the club. But then back to Graham Potter. Graham Potter was managed. And for me, I don't think that good work was done on Graham Potter's background check. First of all, Graham Potter at Brighton and Hove Albion was a hoax, in my opinion. Yes, he did some quite good job for a mid-table club. But then as to if he had the charisma, the persona to lead a club like Chelsea Football Club was very, very questionable. In all the years of Chelsea Football Club, even the least ones have had some form of charisma. Even the ones who have not had as much charisma have had people close to them who had the charisma to get a job done. So I'll take you back to Mauricio Sarri. When Sarri came to Chelsea Football Club, he is not known to have that charisma like a Jose Mourinho, like a Tuchel, like even the quiet charisma of Ancelotti. But then again, right by him was a Chelsea man who understood exactly what Chelsea wanted to do and everything that Chelsea were doing at the time. And that was Gianfranco Zola, who made Mauricio Sarri stay at Chelsea a very, very good one. So Chelsea has always thrived under managers that have been very charismatic, who understood the Chelsea way of doing things, because that club is brute. You remember the story of Andres Villas-Boas and when he came to Chelsea Football Club, and really things didn't go as much as he wanted. Yes, he was as charismatic, but then again, his age and then the kind of players and the people that he met in the Chelsea dressing room was difficult for him to manage. So I think that's, in terms of characteristic as a person, Graham Potter really wasn't the one to manage Chelsea Football Club. I think he was out of his depth as a manager. I think on the field of play, you really did not see clear-cut signs. I was one of the people who really stuck by Graham Potter and felt that Chelsea should give him time if really we wanted to do a lot more going forward. Because really, I didn't understand. If we sacked Thomas Tuchel at the beginning of the season, there was no point trying to sack Graham Potter after just 10 games into his Premier League tenure. You needed to give him time. You needed to try and stand by him. I think that's something I'll give thumbs up to Todd Boehly and his people, because really they wanted to stick by him and they understood that it was supposed to be a make or break for Graham Potter at Chelsea. But one thing that you don't get now in the top level football now is the fact that you don't get time. You really do not get time, especially in a club like Chelsea, who have a history of winning and firing, hiring and firing, being the bane of everything that they've won in the last 21 years under Roman Abramovich and the last owners of the club. So really, Chelsea fans are spoiled. They never really had time. They never really understood what was being built. And you can understand them because, of course, every football fan wants to win. And in this day and age where there is a lot of football betting going on, you don't expect anybody to say, okay, Potter is a good man, let me go, and all of those things. So I think that Graham Potter really was out of sorts. I think that he really wasn't a man cut out for this job. Some of us were just hoping that he would come good. He never really did. The last game against the draw at home, the last one before this was the one for me that broke the camera's back. It was final. The final one was the last one, and we played just against Aston Villa. And then really, you couldn't tell exactly how Chelsea wanted to play. That lineup was shambolic. Playing with James there. You know, when you play in a 3-back, your wing back is your main source of threat from wide areas. So if you have a certain V James that can come inverted as some form of a CM that can keep the width for you when you have inside the maintains who have tagged in for you, then really you need to get a job done. You need to play him as right wing back. If you don't do that and you play him as right centre back and expect Ruben Loftus-Cheek, who really isn't the man to keep the weight for you, who really doesn't give you enough in terms of your 1v1 duels from out wide, then you are in trouble. And that's exactly what happened. That lineup was wrong. If you play a certain Marc Cucurella when Benoit Belachi has been instrumental for the club and he's back into the team, just because he wants to make good use of Marc Cucurella's ball playing abilities from centre back, then you have issues when you are defending. That's exactly what caused that goal Chelsea conceded against Aston Villa in that occasion. So for me, I think Graham Potter really dug his grave and then he fell into it. But then also, I think that the Chelsea job was mammoth. Please, if you're analyzing anything about Graham Potter, know that he took on the club in its worst state. Probably, I think that in the history of Chelsea Football Club, in the most recent history, I mean, this is the worst the club has been to, and he took the club at that point in time. And of course, especially after sacking a very, very popular manager in Thomas Tuchel, you can understand that it was always going to be a Herculean task for him, and he didn't have the personality. Let us not even talk about tactics. He just didn't have the personality to man that club, and then the players. It was just a matter of time that we were going to understand that, you know, this really isn't the guy to lead us forward. But then fast forward, Graham is gone. And then the big question, who becomes the next football manager for Chelsea Football Club? And I'll delve right into it. First of all, Graham Potter was a gamble. So it means that next manager can never be a gamble. Whoever becomes Chelsea's next manager cannot be a gamble. I understand that the early names that are on the cards are Julian Nagelsmann, there is Luis Enrique, there is Mauricio Pochettino, there is Zinedine Zidane, there are even talks of Roberto Di Zerbi and other managers. There's even talk of Luciano Spalletti. I don't know how Aurelio De Laurentiis is going to allow Luciano Spalletti leave Napoli to come and coach Chelsea Football Club. That's going to command a lot of money. But then first, Let's take the managers one after the other, and I'll tell you who I think is going to be the best man for the Chelsea job. First of all, Julian Nagelsmann. I mean, in the recent history of German football, their games have been described as mechanic. I mean, one that has been strict, and then people playing to certain routines in Germany. At the time, it was a word that was used as some form of insult, for want of a better word, to the German football. But then it is one that people like Julian Nagelsmann have used very well. That's central congestion and blockage to prevent you from cutting him through to the middle of the park is something that he does so well. From his days at RB Leipzig with Konrad Laimer, and then Marcel Sabitzer with time, he has shown how good he is as a manager and preventing you from cutting you through him. He loves that two attackers up front and then number 10 right behind them to make sure that they block those passing lanes when they press you. He is a tactically flexible manager. I remember in one of his games in Hoffenheim, he played with a 3-back. He had a game in the cup game just a few days later. He went into a 4-2-2-2. So the flexibility is there for Julian Nagelsmann, and he gets the job done. My question is, does Julian's personality fit Chelsea Football Club? And I mean, I'm going to do a counter comparison between himself and Julian, and then Graham Potter. Where was Graham Potter before he took over at Chelsea Football Club? Graham was at Brighton and Hove Albion. He had done some job at Swansea. He had gone to Östersund. Now, it is similar to that of Julian Nagelsmann. He isn't really a proven winner. Yes, he has had a very good trajectory at age 35. Started his coaching career at 28 at Hoffenheim. And then going to the RB franchise, doing a very good job over there, taking them to the quarterfinals. Something that was expected. That was, at the time, a huge thing to do. Mind you, that beating at Tottenham Hotspur was a big one for him. And then and one of the things that shored up his CV for people to begin to talk about him. Then fast forward a move to FC Bayern Munich. Really, he hasn't really excited people, especially in a team that loves to play free-flowing attacking football with that 4-3-3 in the past, and a Job Hankins and a Hansi Flick and every other manager for Bayern Munich, including Pep Joseph Guardiola. It has been a very, very good football for me. But when he came, he has been much more pragmatic. He has seeded that wing play that Bayern are used to. That's exactly where players like Kingsley Coman haven't really had a lot of game time under him. That's exactly why people like Leroy Sané hasn't really been excited under Julian Nagelsmann. And of course, people like even Sadio Mane are reported to have had complaints about the method of Julian Nagelsmann. So it's a question. Chelsea's new team have a lot of wingers. Raheem Sterling, Noni Madueke, Mihailo Modric, and the other players are all top wingers. And of course, young players that have a lot of prospects. Is he the man to manage this kind of squad with his age, with the kind of things that this squad have been through? A squad that been managed by Thomas Tuchel in the recent past. Is he really the man to take them forward? I just think that the Chelsea job will probably come one too early for Julian Nagelsmann if he takes it. I think that maybe for Nagelsmann, the Tottenham job may probably be the best next step, and then maybe later he'll see a bigger job may come. But then for me, I really do not think that Julian Nagelsmann is the man. I think that he's not far off as a Graham Potter. Potter never really stuck to a particular set of play, a particular system, a particular plan. No automatism in Potter's play, and I don't really see that as much in Julian Nagelsmann's play. He is very, very flexible, changes every now and then, and he doesn't really stick to one set of play. And the fact that in the high level of football now, you don't really get a lot of time on the training ground. You don't really, if you don't play to a particular set of play, your player ID, player selection, and player recruitment becomes a big deal. I think it's something that's going to hurt Julian Nagelsmann in the long run when it comes to Chelsea Football Club. And the fact that maybe he really isn't the man, especially at age 35, to lead this crop of players to get the job done over there. And then to the next person. For me, Mauricio Pochettino really isn't a guy. I don't think that Mauricio Pochettino has enough to get a job done at Paris Saint-Germain. It wasn't seen to be a very good one, even at a place where he was expected to be winning trophies. Even winning the French Ligue 1 was a big deal for Mauricio Pochettino. So then, of course, really, I don't think straightforward he's not a guy to talk about in Chelsea Football Club. There are talks of Ruben Amorim. Amorim is going to be a huge outlier in this one, of course. I think that he's also very young. I think that Sporting really is not going to allow Ruben go. He's going to command a huge fee if he's allowed to come to Chelsea Football Club and all of that. Then there's talk of Zidane, but we all know that Zidane really isn't interested in any club football as it stands now. He really wants to win for the French job. He wants to be patient and then hope that there's change in French football hierarchy so that he can take the job and get the job done over there for France. For Roberto De Zerbi, I don't think Chelsea wants to be going to Brighton anytime soon. Then it comes to the Spanish masterman, the lover of the positional play, Luis Enrique. I think Enrique is brilliant. Charlie, Enrique is a top manager. If you be Chelsea fan, I beg you, Enrique be the guy. And these be my reasons though. See, Enrique, they understand how they won't play. Enrique be the regular 4-3-3 guy. He's a lover of the positional play. And they understand. More people they talk say if you are rooting for Enrique, then it's just massaging football, it's just masturbating football. You really will not get a lot of goals and what have you. But please, there are also a lot of critics that say that post MSN era, Enrique really hasn't showed anything, and that was an outstanding set of players. And really, Chelsea really do not have a players in the caliber of MSN at Chelsea now. So maybe he's not really going to be able to do anything. That is not true. Enrique is flexible, but the principles are the same. Positional play, number one, is at the helm of it. Using the width, playing players to specific roles and then specific automatisms. When he has to do that, is at the helm of Enrique's play and everything that he does. I think that Enrique's system fits this young squad. I think that he has the personality to lead because he has seen it at the helm before. He has been at Barcelona. He has been at the Spanish national team. He understands how it is to go on a treble winning charge. He knows how to manage egos, big egos for that matter. Remember that story of himself and the Lionel Messi while he was at Barcelona. He knows how to get that job done. He knows how to get a job done. He knows how to make the big calls. Remember how he dropped Sergio Ramos on that World Cup squad and a lot of people started talking. So yes, he knows exactly what to do. He knows how to make those big calls. He knows what is to be done at certain point in time. But the most important thing is that while I think that Enrique is the man that suits this football, he is also a manager that will take some time. So if you're a Chelsea fan, please don't think that once Enrique comes through, everything is going to be fine and then Chelsea all of a sudden are going to be at the top of it. Look at the story of Erik ten Hag at Manchester United. Some of us did mention that regardless of the fact that Erik ten Hag was winning, it's a project and at some point it will come crumbling. Now the away form hasn't been good. It's going to come crumbling. But then if you're a Manchester United fan and you chip in to get to this point, just understand that it's just a phase of where Manchester United are. Erik ten Hag is actually a top manager and he's going to come good. Now back to Chelsea Football Club. I think Enrique is the guy. But then really, my big issue is that we need to be patient with him. In fact, Chelsea has to be patient with him. And I think I like the fact that there's a new recruitment staff in Christophe Viville and Joe Shields and Lawrence Stewart and all of those guys who understand that it's just at the beginning of that process that was probably going to take a whole lot of time. And when it does, and when it clicks, I know that for Enrique it's going to be a big one for Chelsea Football Club. And I think that also Chelsea would have to do a lot more for whoever the next manager is going to come. I don't think the manager is going to be appointed in the next few days. I think that Bruno Salta is going to take the team through at least to the Liverpool game and maybe before the Real Madrid game. But then again, Chelsea want to do extensive consultation. This time they don't want to take any gamble. They want to deep. That's why you're already hearing rumors that they have some concerns about the age of Julian Nagelsmann, because really they didn't really look at the character, the persona of Graham Potter when they appointed him. They only looked at the work he did at Brighton, and they felt that he is somebody, he's a people person, and they could bring everybody together and then sell a project to them for the long term. But really in association football, it's not like American football. You need to be patient. You need to get a man to get a job done because it is brutal. It is very aggressive out there in association football. So what do Chelsea Football Club need to do? It is staggering that Chelsea has spent well over £400 million, but then like a proper DM, a proper number 6, especially a backup for N'Golo Conte. As it stands now, Chelsea have bought almost everybody, but there's no number 6. There is the need to go to Sporting and ask for Ugath. There is a need to ask for Declan Rice. There is a need to look into the books of Fulham and ask for Joao Paulinho. There is a need to go to Southampton and ask for what Roman Lavia will cost for. Then there's a need to go to the German Bundesliga and ask for Kaido Kone. So there are a lot of midfielders there that Chelsea need to look into, and that's the first thing they need to buy. Whether Nagelsmann or Enrique, a midfielder is very important. And of course, again, for Enrique or Nagelsmann, Chelsea will need to change their goalkeepers. I don't know if Gabriel Sololina is as good as a ball-playing goalkeeper that any top-level club will need, but then Chelsea really need to move on from Kepa Arrizabalaga. He has considered one of the most shots, the most goals from outside the box. He hasn't proven to be good enough with his feet. His distribution hasn't been the best. His commanding of his area hasn't been good enough. So Chelsea really need to cut their losses on Kepa Arrizabalaga and then find a proper goalkeeper moving forward. And then finally, there's a need for a proper number 9. I don't know if Romelu Lukaku is coming. If he's coming, I don't know if he's really going to fit into any manager's plan as it stands now. But then the injury of Armando Broja made it even extra huge for Chelsea Football Club. There's a need to go into the market. I don't know if Chelsea can really price Victor Osimhen to the Stamford Bridge, because at the end of the day, Chelsea have issues with FFP hanging around their necks. I don't know if Chelsea can go on and get any of those young strikers that can get a job done. Harry Kane, for me, doesn't look like he's ever going to come to Chelsea. So whether Osimhen, whether any of those young strikers can really come and get a job done, I really think that Chelsea needs to give a shout to the young man, Armando Broja. So all in all, I think that Todd Boehly has done a not so good job in his first almost 1 year, a couple of months actually, as Chelsea Football Club manager. That was a big mistake for him. It was a big gamble that never was ever going to pay off. Some of us really wanted to wait and hope that maybe Graham Potter will be able to dig deep and get something for the club, but that was never going to happen. He didn't have the personnel to get a job done. But then moving forward, I think that it's a straight fight between Nagelsmann and then Luis Enrique. Nagelsmann, on the other hand, is young. He has seen it at Bayern Munich. He understands projects. He has seen it at the Red Bull franchise. He has worked with Viveo, Stewards, and Shields. They are going to be his backbone at Chelsea Football Club. He understands how to play. He's going to have a defensive unit to get a job done. But his priorities for me is that he changes a lot of formation, just like Graham Potter. He isn't. He is charismatic, but really his age doesn't really afford him too much respect. And the fact also that he is not a proven winner, and that's young age really is going to be telling when he gets the job at Chelsea Football Club, especially with a club as arrogant and as aggressive like Chelsea Football Club. On the part of Enrique, I think he's the best fit. His system fits the numerous wingers at Chelsea Football Club. He's a lover of the positional play. He is a proven winner. He has a lot of charisma. He can command a lot of respect around Stamford Bridge and Cobham. He, with time, will steady the ship and get a job done. The only thing is that either of these two managers, Chelsea would have to be patient. Chelsea would have to give them at least a couple of months to get a job done. So yeah, thank you very much. These were just my preliminary thoughts on Graham Potter, Chelsea, Luis Enrique, Julian Nagelsmann, Thomas Tuchel. Tuchel, for me, is going to eliminate Pep Guardiola in the Champions League. Mark this. And so yeah, thank you very much. My name again remains Fiifi-Manfred. Please do subscribe, and then of course turn on the notification bell. And then I want this to be a habit. Today's a what? Today's a Monday. But between Monday and Friday every week, at least I'll try and give you some 2 videos. So the name again is Counter Press Fiifi-Manfred. Adios.